Good morning. This is Jason Dean coming live at you again for another Film Fanatic show. It is Monday at 10:06. Hope everyone's doing good. Pretty crappy weekend weather-wise. We had a lot of crappy rain and some snow and ice and all kinds of shit. So it's supposed to be nicer this week, but we'll see. Hope everyone's doing pretty good. I just uploaded. It's kind of a little bit busy the last couple of mornings, so I wasn't able to. I took a few days off where I wasn't able to upload any new videos, but just uploaded a couple this morning. I usually record a video every day. Sometimes I can't because of schedule stuff. Scheduling things in the morning. Like tomorrow, I probably won't be able to record a video. But that's all right. I mean, I always usually what I do after I record a video, I just have it set up on the back burner, so at least it's usually recorded and ready to go and things of that nature. So I usually do that. There'll be a day or two lag after today. I'm not going to be able to record a video tomorrow. I'm gonna have to. I have a stupid dentist appointment in the morning. So, but anyway. I uploaded some new videos. The one that I was looking forward to the most about doing, and yeah, it was I went to a concert, to a dance concert at on Friday with some friends. We went to go see Anthony Papa, who is just an amazing artist in the world of house music. He's a DJ, producer. He runs numerous record labels. I mean, he's kind of a multifaceted guy when it comes to electronic music, and especially house music. Such a, he's kind of my favorite DJ and my favorite artist in the world of house music. So I got a chance to see him on Friday night at this pretty tiny little club lounge, if you will, at the Chemist Lounge in Boston. Super tiny venue, and it was amazing. So I uploaded a video. I went down with some friends on Friday. I uploaded posted the video today, show just talking about that whole kind of wild experience. Super fun. And then I just uploaded another show on a pretty interesting guy, a pretty key figure in the world of grindhouse cinema. Terry Levine. He is he passed away last year, but he produced and really was a distributor. He owned his own distributing company, Aquarius, which basically they brought a lot of European horror exploitation movies to the United States, and he was one of the key guys in distributing a lot of these movies back in the days of when 42nd Street was a grindhouse mecca. Real interesting figure, and I kind of learned a little bit about him over the last few weeks, and thought he was a pretty fascinating guy. So I did a show about him. So I just uploaded that video. So check that out. I'm gonna try to do more shows like that, about the producers and people that were not necessarily, because the grindhouse cinema is my favorite, my favorite time period of film. And I was thinking of, okay, maybe do some shows about that period, but maybe not only maybe from a different perspective, covering some different things around it, as opposed to talking just about the films, obviously, which is the most important part, but then the directors, but like talking about some of the people who were involved with like distribution and financing a lot of these films, some of the people who ran these kind of horror magazines that basically promoted a lot of these films. Real interesting subculture. So I might do some more shows on those kinds of figures. So yeah, very fun, really cool stuff. Always like to take a deep dive into things when I am like first exposed to someone that way, or some facet of the industry that I really think is super interesting. So I have, like I said, I won't I won't be doing a video tomorrow. I have a dentist appointment in Bangor. So when I get through the terrible amounts of pain, I I'm probably gonna stop at Bull Moose since it's like it's right next. It's almost, it's like a 2 minute car ride where Bull Moose is in Bangor. So I think I'm gonna stop on the way there to help alleviate the fucking pain. I hate the fucking dentist so much. My person I go to see, I had some teeth issues before. I had this thing where I didn't take care of my teeth for a while, so I had to get all this work done, and it was totally stupid on my part. But the dentist I see is a, oh fucking, I hate it. She's painful, and yeah. But anyway, try not to think about it. So I'm gonna, since Bull Moose is so close, I'm gonna try to check out, get some more movies. Since I'm up there, a little reward for my fucking pain and suffering. But anyway, I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, probably closer to 3 weeks ago. I was actually up in Bangor. I went to Bangor, or no, that's probably more than that. It's probably like 3 or 4 weeks ago now. But I was up in Bangor. Stopped at. I was going to see a friend's jazz group, and that which was amazing and awesome. But I made a little bit of a day of it, and I went to Bull Moose, and I picked up some brand new Mono Macabro titles. Again, I have been watching a shit ton of Mono Macabra. They are my favorite label out there, my favorite boutique label. I don't even like to use that word boutique label. I think it's, I don't know, kind of pretentious and silly. But basically, Mono Macabra is the king. I think there's so many great labels out there that put out, so many just bizarro films, just all kinds of super underground exploitation movies. Uh, I have a shit ton of Severin. Severin's really, really good too. I just watched a few Severin titles recently. You have Severin, you have Blue Underground, which is one of my favorites. Also, Arrow's pretty good. Yeah, there's a shit ton of great labels out there that, right now. It's kind of, and there's like new ones coming out all the time. Like it's Vinegar Syndrome's another one. It's kind of wild that this stuff exists, and all of these just totally bizarro movies and trashy movies are just getting, they're getting such a royal treatment. Getting releases on 4K even. It's like it's baffling, but I love that there's an audience for this stuff, for this crap. It's amazing. And Mono Macabro is my favorite, by far. And I'm working on making. I'm gonna have a. I'm fingers crossed. I think It's gonna happen, but I have a big announcement. I'm not gonna say anything more about it until like when I have things like confirmed and ready to go. But I'm working on setting up. I'm pretty close. I think it's gonna happen, and I'll find out more info probably later this week, at the end of the week. Today's Monday, so probably by the end of the week I'll have more info, and maybe fingers crossed the confirmation. But I'm setting up, and I'm in the process now of setting up an interview that I'm really really excited about, and I hope it works out. I think it will. And all I'll say is the person that I'm gonna hopefully be doing this interview with is one of the key players, one of the most important guys in this whole wacky world of boutique labels. So really excited about it, the prospect of it, and trying to make it all work. So, but if everything goes according to plan and I can get, confirmation on a time and a date to when I can have him on the show, I'll definitely do a post and really promote this upcoming show. Really, really excited about getting this gentleman on the show, and but I won't say who or what it actually is until I have confirmation. So, but in the meantime, always there's always movies to talk about. So when I was up at Bull Moose last time, which was about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I bought a few new Mono Macabro titles that I had not heard of, and I'm at a point now where anytime I see a Mono Macabro title, even if I don't know the movie, and I will say pretty much every movie, I have quite a few of them now. I have a lot of Mono Macabro. I have probably more of their films than any other label, and I have to say every movie I have of theirs I've never seen before. I've bought them totally cold, and every movie has just been a fucking home run, just awesome. I'm always amazed by the sheer diversity that they have. Everything from like giallo to you know just super bizarre Asian Japanese films. Um, to like straight up horror films. It's amazing, what the variety that they offer, and just how bizarre the movies are, and it's amazing to me that these movies get released even in 4K. It's amazing, and this Mono Macabro seems to be doing really, really well. I thought, physical media was on the verge of completely dying, but it seems now that it's kind of got its second wind or something. Like it seems like there's more things coming out now. And one thing that I know noticed too is like, you have these labels like say, Vinegar Syndrome and Severin and Mon Macabre. They're they're starting, in the midst of of the main label, they're also starting these other like sub labels that are putting out other movies, and it just seems like there's more and more companies putting out these trashy little movies more and more. And it, from my perspective, being a massive fan and a collector of these movies, it seems like it's bigger now at this current time than it's been ever before. It was like about 5 years ago when I really got seriously into buying a lot of these movies. About 5 years ago was when I discovered Mono Macabre. Mono Macabre has been around for maybe, I'd say probably over 10 years, but maybe more. But I got into them about 5 years ago, and at that time when I discovered a lot of this stuff, I was like, wow, like this is crazy, like the shit that you can find. And then there was this lull, this little bit of a dip a couple of years ago. It felt like things were kind of getting slower as far as new releases coming out. At least I don't order things online. I like to, go to a physical place and sift through the shelves and all those things. And that's, you know, a few times I've ordered things online, but generally I like to go, and it's the experience of physically going to a location, and holding the movies, looking at the movies, that whole kind of high fidelity experience. And that's usually what I always do. But there was a weird lull, but now this past year, last 6 months to this past year, it seems now it's like it's revving up again, and I've seen more and more titles come out, and more things just hitting hard, and it's it's pretty amazing. So one of the movies that I bought, which I've actually heard a lot about this movie. I've heard that this movie is like kind of a legendary movie, and that it's like an essential movie for collectors and just fans of exploitation movies, and it has this like it. From what I had heard about this movie, is that it just had this like really wild, kind of insane reputation around it. And sometimes when a movie's coming out or there's a release out there in the world, sometimes things get really hyped up and people talk it up and say how it's just a masterpiece or it's just completely insane and all these things. And then sometimes, depending on your own taste and where you are, you're like, well, okay, it was pretty good, or maybe it was a little bit overly hyped, or you know, the there was a little bit too much hype around it. It doesn't really all the hype didn't necessarily justify the movie. But the movie I'm talking about today, The Hungry Snake Woman, a Mondo Macabre release. I think this was released pretty recently. This is a Blu-ray version, of course. And this film came out in 1986. It's a Indonesian film. Mondo Macabre really specializes in a lot of Asian films. That's kind of their strength. They really have a shit ton of Asian films. It's I have about probably 5 or 6 films from that part of the world, and the Hungry Snake Woman came out in 1986, like I said. And this movie, I have to say, is just completely fucking insane. This has got to be one of the most insane movies I've ever seen. I don't even really know. I watched this. Yeah, I'm kind of lost for words on how even to describe this movie. It's got so many different things going on in it. It's psychedelic. It's super trippy. It's super surreal. It's super funny. It's super sleazy. It's trashier than all hell. It's got like a vampire thing going on in it. It's yeah, I don't even know how to really describe it. And it's got like an action film vibe to it, almost like a martial arts kind of thing going on. It's I don't even well, people say this sometimes, but you kind of have to see it to believe it. And I really think that this is the case for The Hungry Snake Woman. All of the hype that I've heard about this movie, of saying that this movie is just like incredible and just totally gonzo and kind of mind melting, it's fucking true. This movie blew my head off my body when I watched it. I watched this last night, and I just went. Out of all of the Mondo Macabre releases that I have, this was the movie that going into it I heard the most about. I've heard this movie talked a lot about on. There's a handful of YouTube people that I watch. There's 42nd Street Forever, which is an awesome show, YouTube channel. This British guy runs this channel, and he's a hardcore enthusiast about all things sleazy, everything in the exploitation world. Mood 616, Canadian YouTube guy who's just awesome and amazing. Both of these guys I watch pretty regularly, and I've learned so much about this kind of cinema from them. Again, it's always something I've always had a deep interest in this kind of in these kinds of films, and saw a lot of these movies. A lot of these movies were movies that I saw a lot as a kid, but I didn't know too much as far as putting two and two together, like who particular directors were, or like what the what a say what a giallo per se was, like what stylistically what that meant, or things of that nature, like more specifics. And as I've gotten older, and become a collector and a real avid fan. My knowledge of this world of cinema has grown, and I am always learning more and more about this crap. And there's also a couple other channels out there. Maniac is a really good YouTube channel. There's a handful of just fantastic YouTube guys out there that run these channels where they do cover. I mean, like for instance, Mood 616. He does cover, quote unquote Hollywood movies and all kinds of shit. But his specialty is definitely exploitation. And I've probably learned more about this form of cinema through his channel than any other. I do cover, normal movies on this channel, but, this is my love. But this movie is completely gonzo, completely insane. It's basically kind of centered around this guy who is, more or less like the narrative or the beginning of the story is fairly standard or straightforward and easy to understand, but then it just goes way fucking left field. But it's kind of like that classic tale of selling your soul more or less to the devil to gain power and pleasure and all the riches of the world. That's kind of what the story is, or at least how it starts off, like swearing a person who's very desperate and is willing to do anything for fame and fortune, and they're essentially selling their soul to some kind of deity or devil. And then it just goes fucking totally bonkers. But that's the kind of the basic premise of the story. And there's so many elements in this movie that it's really, really hard to describe. It truly is a movie that you have to see to believe. And from a I guess a technical standpoint, this movie is absolutely gorgeous. It has like a Bollywood kind of vibe to it. It feels like at times it's going to be like a musical, but there is no singing and dancing in this film. And it's such a gorgeous, gorgeous looking film. On top of it being so incredibly fucking insane and bizarre, it looks so gorgeous. The music is incredible. It really takes a deep dive, I think. From what I've read a little bit about the mythology of Indonesian culture, it seems to really take a deep dive. And I imagine some of it is kind of accurate and some of it is probably not at all, but it definitely goes deep into kind of Indonesian mythology, which I'm a huge fan of. But obviously, it goes into super bizarre territory. But it seems to be pretty steeped in kind of that culture, and in regards to the mythology with the different gods in that part of the world. And again, it's like it's a weird juxtaposition. This movie's also incredibly sleazy. It's super gory too, and it's kind of a fucked up movie at times. There's some things in it that are pretty fucked up, pretty messed up, and there's some like moments of this where I feel like it's like a comedy. It's got very comedic elements to it, and I'm not sure if that was like intentional or not. Um, but it definitely has those aspects to it, which I think really gives this movie um, some levity because there's so many. It's like a blender, or just like this smorgasbord of different styles of film, on turned up to 11. And so there's so much stuff going on in this movie that I think where there are these comedic elements that are are a part of this movie give it some levity so you can kind of you know digest to a degree of what is going on, because it's truly like being on a roller coaster with this movie, because there's so much stuff coming at you, and it's just like, whoa, like once you're strapped in, you're like, I have no fucking idea where this is going, and it's completely insane. This might be one of the, I mean, easily got, it has to be one of the most insane releases I've ever seen that I own, that Mono Macabre has put out. And like again, I've heard about this movie saying, hearing that this movie had just like an insane reputation as just being, just batshit gonzo, and it completely lived up to the hype in every possible way, and then some. Um, I'm not. I almost feel like it's hard doing it justice by. Um, I feel like I'm not doing this film justice by reviewing it in like a traditional way, if that makes sense, because I can't really. You really have to see it to believe it. I think it's. I think this film is truly, a primetime example of that, because you know, and one of the things too, which happens to me a lot around these movies, is, I'm in awe of watching a lot of these films, and I'm just like, but then part of me is just like completely baffled, and at times just kind of shocked. And when I'm usually baffled by a film, and this is definitely one of those films, and the feeling I get is usually like, wow, how the fuck was this made? Like what the fuck? Like what was the kernel or kernels of the original idea to make this movie? Like it's like, how did this get made? How did this get put together and put out and be put out into the world for the public? Like it's just insane. It's insane to me. The only thing that is really disappointing, and I was surprised by that, is that there's no special features on here. I was really surprised. Usually Mono Macabre has a shit ton of special features on all of their releases, or there's always like a good documentary or a really great interview. But there's nothing on here as far as that. There's not even a commentary track. There's some trailers and things, but that part of it was really disappointing. But otherwise, it's it's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing, and I can't wait to watch this again. I think this movie, again, it's such a wild ride that there's so many things going on. I think I would get something out of it each time, because there's like this, there's so many influences. There's so much shit going on in this movie. Like everything in the kitchen sink, I feel like was thrown in this movie. It's kind of that experience. It's a little bit of like a whirlwind, and it's like an assault on your senses. It really is, but in a good way. It's kind of, even though it's a completely different kind of a movie, but as far as um, the sheer amount of ideas that are coming at you, one of my favorite films last year, which was probably the best movie of 2024, The Substance with Demi Moore, masterpiece of a film. I saw that in the theater, and a lot of people were saying that it was, just gonzo crazy and that it was wild. A lot of people, some critics and some people were really critical of that movie, saying that the movie was, too intense, or like, kind of unrelenting, to where, it never gave you as a viewer, there was never time to kind of digest what was going on. Like you were just being assaulted the whole time, and it was too intense that way, and that there was no downtime to kind of like sit with some of these things that are coming your way as a viewer, and that it was pretty assaultive. I didn't think it was, but that movie, I think the intention with that film was to really fucking rattle your cage and push those boundaries. Even though, in all actuality, I think that movie has this very slow burn pace to it, but it is very much a visceral experience. Once the movie kind of really unleashes, by the second act, it really is that, just completely over the top and completely insane. But it's so well done and so well crafted that it works. I never felt overwhelmed by that film at all. And even though, again, this is a completely different kind of a film, but as far as the amount of ideas and influences, I feel like there's similarities with the Hungry Snake Woman, because it's kind of unrelenting and kind of assaultive in some ways, but in a good way. So I can't recommend this movie enough. I didn't realize what year this came out too. I thought it's a later film. I thought it came out in '86. Oh, sorry, '84, and I thought this film came out was older than that. But just, oh my god, it's a masterpiece. It's got to be one of the most gonzo movies I've ever seen. And when it comes to the catalog of films that Mono Macabre has been putting out, this is definitely, out of the ones that I have, this has got to be one of the most insane, if not the most insane movie I've seen. Yeah, just yeah, I can't recommend this movie enough. So thanks again, and we will see you next time. Peace.